Hi everybody, Glyne here. It is time for another weekly leadership truth. And this week's truth is old tapes are hard to erase. So what's an old tape, you say? Well, here's the thing. When we join an organization, all of our actions and behaviors create a brand for us, a story about who we are. And that story gets told through the organization. And hopefully those stories are positive. But if those stories are negative, and this is the interesting thing, sometimes what used to be positive for you becomes a negative, right? And I see that often for leaders who have gone from being individual contributors to their first leadership role. You know, the story that gets told about them is that they're so great at doing the work, but can they actually lead the work? So we have these stories that people hold on to about us. And here's what I know, because, you know, at the Roundtable, we focus a lot on helping leaders grow their behavior and change their behavior. And when I first started this work, I just used to work with the individuals. I'd work on their behavior, you know, like 20 years ago in the other firm I worked for. That's what we did a lot of, right? We'd work with the individual. And then we started engaging their boss, and so the boss and the individual would be involved. But the problem really happens for people is if you've got a really entrenched view and people see you a certain way across the organization, and especially if that way is negative, if you've done something, maybe you had a really severe career misstep, you are going to have to work really hard to erase the old tapes that people have of you. It is not going to just be about you doing your behavior in a new way. You are going to have to get other people around you to really start looking for the new behavior you're demonstrating. So simply, I've used this example before, but if you're somebody who interrupts all the time, if you're somebody who cuts people off and interrupts them, and you want to stop that because you're known for that, and that's actually become a barrier for you, guess what? You may never interrupt a person in a meeting, but the one time you do, everybody's going to focus on that. Unless you go and tell people, hey, I'm trying to work on not interrupting more. Can you give me your one best suggestion on what I can do to become better at not interrupting? And you get that from them and you engage them in your development process. This is all Feedforward technique, Marshall Goldsmith, Google it, look it up. This stuff works, but it works because what you're doing is you're actually getting those people around you to start to look for the new behavior. It, in my observation, is critical. It is very hard, and I've actually seen people really not be able to get beyond the reputation they built for themselves, not because they haven't worked at it, but because the people around them are no longer willing to give them the opportunity to change. So old tapes can be erased, but they're very difficult to erase, and that all is a factor of how long have you been in that hole with people seeing you in a certain way. Sometimes the best change you can make is to leave fresh, start over, and bring your new behavior into a new organization, or have a really big turnover within your existing organization that gives you the opportunity to have a true clean slate. So start off on a good foot, continue to always solicit feedback to avoid, you know, creating a bad tape that you have to erase. But if you do feel like you've got a tape, my big thing is engage other people around you to help you start to shift perception. Thanks so much for tuning in, and be sure to tune into all of our social channels to get the latest leadership truth each week.